for CP3 to, well, get on that bench.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're in the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kansas 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. And thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Kansas 5 Plus app. You know where to go. Locked On Spurs newsletter. It's available right now. If you're on the YouTube side of things, there's a link there. It says LO Spurs newsletter. Click that link. Completely free. Hits your email inbox every single day. What are we talking about today? We'll be looking at the updated race, or just the race for the Roy. Looks like Castle may be separating himself from the pack already. We'll dive into some numbers. And then the big topic that's been on the lips of many Spurs fans. Is it time for Chris Paul? Yes, the point guard to take a seat on the bench now that Wemby and Fox is in San Antonio and Stephon Castle is playing great. We're going to dive into that and so much more. I was going to bring in our guest. He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the Lead. Welcome back, Rudy.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. Definitely, we're still recovering from Super Bowl, but thanks for having me.
You know, Rudy, by the way, everybody, make sure to follow Rudy on X at Sweep the League and check out his show on YouTube, Sweep the League, as well. Do that right now. So, you know, Rudy, let's go to catch up on what's going on with the Roy race, the Rookie of the Year race. And by the way, everybody, as of this recording, this is recorded before the Spurs-Wizards game. It seems that Castle's starting to pull away a little bit. You look at the NBA rookie ladder rankings. He's kind of number one for the last two editions. I think the lowest he's ever been is 6, and the highest he is right now is 1. And, you know, with the rookie from Philadelphia, I believe was named McCain, he's out for the season. It looks like Castle is starting to pull away. I don't see any major threat, unless you do, Rudy. What do you think?
Well, I mean, he's pulling away, but there is actually a threat that a lot of people may not see or may not notice. And it's actually 2 players from the same team, the Memphis Grizzlies. More noticeably, Jalen Wells. I mean, he's averaging, as of this recording, 11.4 points a game. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he leads in 12 points, field goals made, and 3-pointers made among rookies. So there's a lot of not so much concern, but there is a player that could potentially overtake Castle. And I think what it could be as well is if Jalen Wells becomes even more involved with Memphis as he is already, they continue to win. There's a possibility he could maybe overtake Castle. But I think with what Steph has been doing the last couple of games, kind of shows why he's kind of pulling away from everybody else. But again, there is a threat in Memphis, no doubt about it.
Yeah, let's look at some numbers from Stephon Castle. Right now, he's averaging, as of this recording, 12.7 points per game through 49 games played. So not too bad there. And that, by the way, among rookies, that puts him at number 2. Jared McCain, I mean, my God, he was having a damn good season. He's averaging about 15.3 before he got hurt. So, but he's second technically in rookie scoring. If you look at other categories among rookies, he's third in assists at 3.6 a game. You know, not really much as far as impact on the steals department. But you look at, we pick a category here. Let's try blocks. You know, doesn't really rank in the top 10. He seems to be making his impact so far on scoring, assist, and you look at field goal percentage. Again, not a top 10 rookie. Mm-hmm. But do you think ultimately what could doom him is if the Spurs continue their down play while Memphis seems to be playing a little bit better than San Antonio?
That's a good question, because like everybody could point, well, last year the Spurs, you know, were no playoff team or a playing team, and they gave Wemby Rookie of the Year. Wemby was putting up, you know, numbers you hadn't seen since David Robinson was a rookie. So that's kind of the bigger difference here. I think what you're going to see with Stephon Castle is not so much the record. I mean, unless Memphis goes on a massive win streak and Jalen Wells is pretty much the guy that's the reason why, him or Zachy are the reason why they're on that massive win streak. I think Stephon Castle will be okay. The record's really not going to matter too much, only because the other 2 guys are Alex Sarr and Zachary Reese-Darchier that are potentially, you know, Rookie of the Year candidates. Everybody's their record exception of Memphis is going to be brutal at the end of the season. So I think what ultimately would do it is if you start to see lineup changes where Steph gets limited minutes, a la CP3 maybe getting, cutting into his minutes a little bit, maybe seeing Julius Champagny cut into his minutes. So it depends on the rotation for Steph Castle.
Yeah, and no, good with the last few games though, he's been on a tear though. There's no doubt about that. His lines have been pretty solid, and it kind of bleeds into the other topic we're going to get into in a while. But he's definitely, upping his game. You like what you're seeing on the offensive end. You're looking at what you're seeing on the defensive end. Really leading the fast break of late, attacking the rim. I mean, he's showing he's a lot. One that's biggest surprise for me is he's a lot fearless than I thought. He has no fear going amongst the trees, does he?
No, he doesn't at all. It's something that you could see when his days over in UConn, just attacking the basket, getting to the rim, being able to finish at the basket. I think the only question mark people had was his shooting, which you continue to see his shooting improve. I mean, he's shooting 41% from the field. So, I mean, as a rookie, that's not bad at all. I could definitely use some work, but attacking the basket, I mean, the kid loves contact. The kid loves to just, get above the rim. He's not afraid of the big guys, the centers, or he's not afraid of anybody like that. So I think what you're gonna see more from him is just a continuation of getting to the basket with Aaron Fox on the team now. The pick and roll game with Wemby is going to be fantastic. It's going to free up a lot of opportunities for Steph Castle to cut to the basket and have a lot more top 10 ESPN plays.
Yeah. I pulled up the last 4 games, his averages. In the last 4, everybody, check this out. 20 points per game, 3.8 rebounds, 3 assists per game. He's doing all that in 27.2 minutes per game. He's only started 1 game in that 5-game span. We'll more on that later. He's shooting about 51%, and he's connected on 78% from his free throws, and he's making about 1.3 3 shots, good for 39%. He's averaging about 3.3 attempts. So there's that. Are there a little bit of concerns? Sure. In the last 4 games, he's averaging about 3 turnovers a game. I think that's expected. Mitch Johnson even said that too. As great as Castle's been playing, he said sometimes the rookie can't crash the car every once in a while. And you see it sometimes, some rookie mistakes from him. But again, one impressive thing from him is he's keeping it clean. He's only averaging 1.5 fouls in the last 4 games, Rudy. I think that's very underrated about his game.
Very, very, because he's also known as a defensive type of player as well. So knowing that he's only averaging about 1.5 fouls a game, it just kind of shows that he's very smart on the defensive side of the ball. He doesn't make ticky-tack fouls. He doesn't get these silly calls. He plays with a really good defensive paralysis. And I like what I see because he's not afraid to guard some of the best players on the other team, their best players. You see him mixing it up, with the likes of Dame Lillard and a few other guys like that. So he's not scared. He's not afraid. You saw him have that block early in the season on FPA, who's the MVP of the league right now. So you can see him growing onto that, not even 3-and-D, to that 2-way player that Spurs fans in the front office are actually hoping he would be.
Yeah, and again, I think the door is open for him. In my opinion, I think he's inching towards sealing it. Hopefully he had a good game versus the Wizards because the proof will point to Alex Sarr, another young promising rookie. That is his award. And look at more some numbers here. Again, we talked about second in scoring among rookies. And you look at steals, I believe he's 5th in steals, not by much overall averages. So 0.8. And so nothing too crazy about that. Field goal percentage, just going to that. See, we get some stats here. Not a top 10 guy, but again, that's been his big knock is, his outside shooting, his field goal shooting. That's still kind of a work in progress. But do you think it's his? You think it's his to lose? I mean, I know you threw out a couple of names there, but it just feels like, are we safe to say it's a wrap? Are we there yet?
I'm gonna say no. I hate to be a bad guy on this one, but it's not sealed yet. It's getting close. It's in the envelope. It just hasn't been completely sealed yet with Stephon Castle. Of course, you're gonna have to see what happens after the All-Star break. God forbid something major happens, or maybe like I said, the minutes may decline. I don't. so much can happen in the second half to say, well, he's already got it sealed right now. I think right now, if you're going on a 100% scale, I think he's right around 68, 69% that he's got it sealed. So better than half. It's like I said, I really look at one guy right now, and that one guy is Wells from the Memphis Grizzlies. It's just, man, I think him and Edie are putting up some really good numbers for Memphis. And again, if they have that run where they're the difference maker, then that could overtake, what Stephon Castle is doing. But right now, I think 68, 69%, but you got it still.
Yeah, as far as minutes per game, he's seventh among rookies. Stephon Castle, that is, at 25.7. The league leader rookie minutes is actually Bub Carrington out of Washington. Obviously, another message I hope that Castle sent to Bub yesterday for the Wizards and to Sar, because those two guys are 1 and 3 when it comes to minutes per game. Then again, it's Washington. They got to get bodies out there. Their season's all but done. Sar's averaging 26.8 minutes per game. Bub Carrington, 29.3 minutes per game. You mentioned Jalen Wells. He's actually fourth among rookie minutes at 25.8. We're going to get to this in just a few seconds, but do you think the addition of Fox and the fact that the Spurs still have CP3 on the roster, maybe I should rephrase that. Should his minutes be expected to decline because Fox is there? Because you're going to give those minutes, you're going to give minutes to Fox, and you're not going to decrease CP3's minutes for the rookie. You see, it kind of blends into the next topic, though.
I was going to say real quick before we go, take a little look at this. And the last couple of games, there was, I believe, a game. I'm not sure about both of them, but Steph wasn't in there in winning time. So that kind of may prove where Mitch Johnson's headed, is what I'm saying, coaching wise. Like if you're truly trusted, you should be out on the court. And I think it was the Hornets game that he wasn't on the court at the very end, and it kind of shows the trust. Do they have enough trust in him? I know personally, I trust the guy in winning time because he's already been there before throughout the season. But if you don't see that happen anytime soon, then like I said, the minutes may be coming down a little bit.
He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Leave us your thoughts on the Rookie of the Year race. Is it Castle's, all but his? Is it a wrap? Or is there still some sorting out that needs to happen before we can put a bow on the award for Castle? It'd be great. It'd be great for the Spurs to have back-to-back Rookie of the Years. That'd be awesome. But we shall see. He's definitely on the way for making that happen. When we get back, we're going to be asking the big question. Yeah, the question that's been on the minds of Spurs fans of late. Is it time for CP3 to take a seat on the bench? All that and more coming up. But let's go ahead and talk about Open Phone.
Running a small business means you're wearing a lot of hats. Your personal phone becomes your business phone, and before you know it, you're juggling customer calls day and night. As your team grows, it becomes impossible to manage everything with just your personal number. That's where Open Phone comes in. It's the #1 business phone system designed to help keep your work and personal life separate. For just $15 a month, the cost of a few coffees, you get a complete transparency and visibility into everything happening with your business phone number. Open Phone works through an app on your phone or computer and integrates with tools like HubSpot and hundreds of others. It also uses AI-powered call transcripts and summaries, so you'll have a rundown of all your calls and action items the second you hang up. And if you miss a call, no problem. Automated messages are sent directly to your customer, ensuring you never miss an opportunity to engage. Right now, OpenPhone is offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's OpenPhone.com/LockedOnNBA for 20% off 6 months. Openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge.
As the new leader of the Decepticons, I command you to subscribe to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Follow him on X at Sweep the League. All right, Rudy, one of the big questions right now, and a lot of Spurs fans are saying, yes, do it, is benching Chris Paul. Now, for those of y'all who remember, or if you don't, Chris Paul made it clear he picked San Antonio because he wanted to play. He picked San Antonio because he wanted to hoop. He didn't want to remain in Golden State because he wasn't getting the minutes to hoop. And prior to D Fox's arrival, he was getting minutes to hoop out there for a good chunk of time. And as of this recording, he's not off the starting five, but he has been on the starting unit since Fox's arrival. But many Spurs fans, and maybe some numbers, we'll go into that in a bit, show that he can probably be a liability defensively. He's not the CP3, that pesky dog on defense anymore. That it might behoove the Spurs and Mitch Johnson to make the move and swap out CP3 for the rookie Steph Castle. Now, before we get into some numbers here, what are your overall thoughts? A lot of Spurs fans are like pitchforks and shaking the fences, saying, Mitch, switch it out, switch it out. Good move or bad move so far that he still kept CP3 in that starting five with D Fox?
Well, when they traded for Fox, and you and I did a Locked On episode, I believe it was Matt Guzman, shout out to Matt Guzman, I did say that CP3 needs to go to the bench. And I really feel the same about that, and I don't think I will ever change. Stephon Castle needs to start alongside De'Aaron Fox. They can run extremely well together. Makes a lot of sense. No disrespect to CP3, but I think that he needs to just be the sixth man to come off the bench. I don't see it happening because I think if you look at the Spurs, they're a very loyal team to their veterans, especially the ones that, are, top X number, veteran. You look at the guys like Duncan Robinson, they're going to start them no matter what. So I think one of two things happens. I think they continue to start him and bring Stephon Castle off the bench for the remainder of the year till CP3, obviously is a free agent. Or I will say this right now, the chances of them buying him out so he can join a contender probably go up a little bit as you may see his minutes decrease. So either one of the two ways go. But I think he should be on the bench to start the games.
Yeah, it's interesting, now that the Spurs, the rest of the league is well over the halfway point of the season. Mm-hmm. That starting unit to start the Spurs season is still the top rated unit. Good. That's still with Champagnie, Barnes, CP3, Castle, and Wemby. Even though that lineup hasn't really been out there as much anymore, that still holds a commanding plus 53 as of this recording here, with a net rating of 13.2, defensive rating 114.7, 127.9 offensive rating. Man, sometimes I wish the Spurs would go back to this because the numbers show it that for some reason that unit is still strong, and we get it. Champagnie, space to hit the three, CP3 and Castle, but there's a common thread there. Castle's in the starting unit. Did he really make that much of an impact, Rudy?
100%. I mean, it shows in the numbers that he makes that kind of effect on the Spurs. And that's the thing. We keep. I think the one thing that we keep repeating is when Stephon Castle's on the floor, good things happen, and that's why you need to keep him on the floor. Starting him with the starting unit is probably the way to go. And if you think about it, I wish they would put that same lineup, take CP3 off, put Fox in there, and see the difference in numbers. Because again, you're getting more points per game from your point guard right there. You're probably getting the same amount of assists that CP3 was giving you there. Defensively, you're probably gaining at least a 0.4, 0.5 in steals with that lineup. So it's in the numbers. The lineup, we've been saying that lineup works from the beginning. You've added Fox. I think that same lineup should be out there. That's my starting five. Even Devin coming off the bench makes a lot more sense for me.
Yeah, and you look at that. Let's just say that CP3 and Castle swapped out, start games. You have another horse that can run with D Fox out in transition, get that transition offense going. Wemby can keep up, and that's a deadly trio right there on the fast break. And since D Fox's arrival, we've seen the Spurs pace pick up. It's now, since we last spoke, Rudy, it's now top 10. The last time we spoke about pace, they were well out of the top 10. They were like 17, 18. Now they're in the top 10, all because Fox has come in. No knock on CP3, he's going to get into the Hall of Fame, all the accolades in the world. He deserves it. But it's a sticky topic because he made it very clear he came to San Antonio for minutes. Not like he came here for Wemby. Now he wanted to come and play with Devin Vassell, Sohan, and Castle He came here for minutes, and he made it very clear he came here to hoop. But, let's take a break. We'll get back. How you think the Spurs should break that conversation with CP3? Like, hey, you got to send the bench. Do you think he'll take it well? You think he might scoff at it? And we'll look at some interesting unit with the Spurs now with De'Aaron Fox, and may prove why Castle needs to start. He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Follow him on X at Sweep the League. And we'll be discussing more about Castle, Fox, starting unit in just a few seconds.
A Jedi uses the Force. To subscribe to Locked on Spurs, pass on what you have learned.
We're back. We're here on Locked on Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Rudy, I would never bench you. I would never bench you if I was running the team.
I don't mind it at all, man. As long as I get a couple of minutes here and there, I don't mind it. I think that started.
You think you would be a player that would flip the tables over? They told you, hey, you're gonna have to from starting to bench. You think you'll be the type of guy who'd be like, no, what is this? I'm out of here. Get me out of this team.
No, for me, back in my St. Gregory days when I was playing, I was in and out of the starting lineup a lot of times, and I never had a problem with it. I think I was more motivated to just prove how I was capable of on the court when I was on playing time. So any minutes I got were great at the time. And even when I played in high school a little bit.
That's why we call it the Montage Nobly here on Locked on Spurs. Montage Nobly, came out that bench. That's the thing too. This gives our topic here. How you think the Spurs should break the news to CP3. I'm saying, hey, Mono, be on standby if he starts getting a little upset and want out or something. Mono, be on standby. Keldon, be on standby. More so impactful with Manu, not Keldon, likely. But it's a touchy subject. I don't know. Do you think he'd be down with it?
I'm gonna say no. He's not. I don't think he would like it. I think he'll say the right things, but then to his agent, his one thing is, I gotta go. I want to join a contender, and I think that's where people have to separate the things. Is when I've seen people say, "Well, Manu Ginobili went to the bench. He was a great sixth man." Yeah, okay, but at the same time, compare Manu's teams to Chris Paul, current Spurs team. Manu coming off the bench, he understood it made a whole lot of sense. He knew he could start anywhere in the league. He knew he could even start for the Spurs, but he also understood that I've got, multiple Hall of Famers on these teams. These teams are pretty stacked if you think about it. My role is probably best here, and I can make a bigger difference here as to where CP3 says, okay, I've got one possible Hall of Famer next to me in Wemby, but outside of that, I'm better than all these guys. And for him, hey, he feels he probably is better than Fox too at the same time. So he wants to be on the court. And that's the generational thing. CP3 and Manu are the same type of guy, same generation, basically. But it's the team built around them that makes more sense. Now, if you had a team, stacked like Manu did with CP3, I think he would accept it more because he knows he has a legitimate chance to win a championship. So that's the difference I see right there.
There's a big difference there. And I don't think anybody should have been surprised to see Castle go to the bench when Fox came on board. I think I saw Spurs fans being like, what's going on? You can see that coming a mile away the moment the trade went down. Castle was going to get the plug. He was going to get the bench. And it happened. And let's go to some numbers here real fast. So I'm looking at the unit since Fox has come to San Antonio. Now, this unit, keep in mind, everybody, he's only played 34 minutes together. That's just small sample size, but we'll take it because that's all we got to work with. So this is it. The starting five right now is D. Fox, Wemby, Barnes, CP3, and Devin Vassell. Again, 34 minutes together. That unit is a minus 13 and a negative 19.9 net rating. All right, here's some more bad news. Now, the offensive rating is spectacular. Let me go and pull it up here. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. The offensive rating is actually bad. My bad. I had them flipped. The offensive rating is 115.3. Brace yourself, everybody. The defensive rating, 135.2. And that's with Wemby on the court. That's with Wemby. And it's allowing that type of defensive rating. Are you shocked by that, Rudy?
Not really. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, outside of Wemby being the best defense player on the team, Stephon Castle still emerging as a defender, having spurts. De'Aaron Fox, and I mean, again, I'm probably gonna get crap for this because everybody say, "Well, what about Sohan?" It's not about him. De'Aaron Fox is probably the second best defender, and in the first 3 games for the Spurs, he's averaging like 2.5 steals a game roughly. He's got a total of 8 steals in 3 games for the Spurs. So, I mean, he's their second best consistent defender. It doesn't surprise me because you would think the Spurs are a better defensive team because they historically are, but also in the NBA right now, there's really no defense played at all. And that's kind of the trend you've seen a whole lot from a lot of teams. And I think, for me, it's not surprising at all. You've only got a very limited amount of defenders on the team, and not everybody buys in on the defensive side of the ball anymore.
Yeah, and again, we're aware that it's very little time together. 34 minutes, that's it. Since D Fox's arrival, so keep that in mind. But again, we're working with what we got, and that's the sample we have. Interesting enough, I'm looking at some of the numbers here. You would think again with D Fox, Wemby, and Vassell, maybe the pace will be better. Just those 3 guys. That unit that Fox is starting with right now is the 99.9 pace. That's it. Yeah. So when Castle, those numbers are going to skyrocket. Defensive rating is going to get better. The pace is going to get better. Maybe the offensive rating will probably stay about the same. But if anything that's proved in the last few games is this team needs stops. I mean, look at the way they've been ending losing a 1-point game to the Hornets the way they did, do that close game. The recent game 2 coming up short versus like 1 point again, for the Magic, excuse me. And then just late game executions looking bad right now. And then there's where some people might push back and say, well, you need CP3 late in games for that stability. So what gives, Rudy? What gives?
It's kind of funny that I'm saying this. When they signed CP3, a lot of things that I said was a Barnes and CP3, you're getting those wins that you would not normally get at the end of games. Actually controlling the ball, not making mistakes, no turnovers, this and that. And it still stays true, but again, you traded for De'Aaron Fox for a reason, and I understand CP3 is there. De'Aaron Fox is more capable of, controlling the ball, controlling the tempo, not turning the ball over in winning time. In fact, he's probably the most clutch player technically in winning time is De'Aaron Fox. So that he's bonus there. It's kind of sad because we know what lineup works. We know what lineup was winning games. And then you're thinking, well, what does that do to the bench? I mean, you're talking about guys like CP3, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, and Jeremy Sohan, who all can be starters on other squads as your 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th guy. To me, that's the ideal thing to go. Champagny was on fire as a starter. Harrison Barnes has to be out there. Steph Castle, you saw what he does. De'Aaron Fox, you don't trade for him to run him on the pine. And of course, Wemby out there. Those 5 guys as starters are going to give you your best points per game to start the game, your best defensive rating. And I don't know. I mean, I hate to say this, but yeah, those 4 guys that we mentioned earlier, they've got to come off the bench, man. And I think it's more of a coaching thing, to be honest with you. I'm going to throw that out there. More of a coaching thing. I don't know if Vince Johnson just doesn't have the heart to do it or doesn't want to try it. But I mean, you're 6 games below 500 as of this recording. Why not try something?
Yeah, it is. It's kind of hard, to say, well, to really pile on that starting unit, the 34-minute unit together that we've seen with D Fox is maybe it might get better. But, digging into some of the numbers too, it's interesting to see, like, here is, so now you have Castle. Well, that original starting unit to start the season still heads above the rest. I mean, that one's still great. But I don't think we haven't seen Castle and Fox start right at all. And since Fox has been here, right?
I don't believe so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think they have. And
now again, Washington played, so we haven't gotten.
Yeah, true. So keep that in mind, everybody. Yeah, as Rudy brought up, this is recorded before the Washington game. But yeah, and I like to see that happen. I like to see an extended time with those two guys starting. Hey, Mitch Johnson and coach staff, isn't it time for a load management game for Chris Paul? I mean, he's old, right, Rudy? He needs his time to break, right? He needs some time to relax, give him a day off.
19 over in the league. I don't know if he wants to take a day off, knowing he may not have a whole lot more time left.
My feeling is if they do make the call and sit him down for the bench, I think that's where you might see, well, he's on the waiver wires. But they'll have to do it soon, right? Because if he wants to latch on to a playoff team, there's like a deadline, right? Like players, something like that. So,
I think if he was to go to the bench, like I said, if he goes to the bench, he'll say the right thing, but not too much longer. You'll see him requesting to be released or bought out so he can join a contender.
Yikes. And then that would look good on Spurs,
No. It'll look fine. You're doing the right thing by Chris Paul, allowing him to leave. If he does request it, you're allowing him to leave. But also, there's only one person, and you, De'Aaron Fox, will come in a year ago. Not even, I don't think Chris Paul or the Spurs had that in mind. So you can't know what that is. Really, you can't. That was not me, but you can't fall for Chris Paul coming thinking that he would, be the only starting point guard without knowing exactly what would happen at the trade deadline either. So I think it would be okay. It would be, handshake, thanks for your time. Let's pitch you to a winner.
Yeah. By the way, Rudy, I pulled up a 2-man lineups, with just Fox and Castle together on the court.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to this. Offensive rating 119.4. Defensive rating 99.4. That's good for a net rating of plus 20 with that 2-man lineup. That's crazy.
Numbers.
Extrapolate that and put that in the starting unit with Wemby, Barnes, and Vassell. Yeah, there might be something cooking there. Numbers don't lie, as Rudy said. Maybe the Spurs, Mitch Johnson, will see that. I wonder if Popovich is at his place right now, kind of like pulling his hair out. Like, what are you doing, Mitch? Start Castle, have a conversation. Get Pop on the line. To have Pop talk to CP3. Maybe that'll work.
I don't mind CP3 starting. And again, I know we're at the end of the show, but I want to say the weakest person on that lineup, and it's golly, I don't want to be disrespectful, but I'm just being honest, is the fact that it's Devin Vassell. Vassell's the weakest part on that lineup, and not because he can't score anything. I just feel the team flow is a little different when Devin plays.
It's interesting because, again, I was looking at the 2-man lineup with Vassell and Castle now, because you mentioned him. Those two guys, offensive rating 119.4, defensive rating 99.4, good for a plus 20.
Yeah.
So, again, but the point is the common thread is Castle Wemby. That's interesting enough. Castle Wemby 2-man rotation. 78 minutes together, offensive rating 104, defensive rating 104. So they kind of cancel each other out. And then you look at, here's a good one. CP3 and De'Aaron Fox 2-man rotation, 62 minutes together. Those two guys on the court, minus 4.3. The offensive rating goes down to 112.9. Defensive rating, again, not great, 117.2. So, again, the proof's in the pudding. Numbers don't lie. Maybe it's time for CP3 and the Spurs coaches have to have that talk. We shall see. Still a good chunk of game left in the NBA season, but although it's winding down fast, Rudy. It's crazy. 30-ish games left? That's it?
Yeah, they got 9. They got to win 9 more games to prove me on my 30-win total wrong. Which I think I had 30, and I think the most is 35. Now, beating them 13 more wins, that might be a little tougher, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. We need to know what's going on with Sweep, buddy. What's going on?
Yeah, so the best thing to do is go to YouTube, search Sweep the League TV, hit the subscribe button. I've mentioned we've had the new show, Grading the Market. Also, Sweep Unplugged, STL 316 is a wrestling podcast that was also added to the mix, and that comes from time to time, covering big wrestling pay-per-views. Also, you got the Granddaddy of them all. Sweep the League TV that's coming to you right now. Tuesday through Friday at 9 p.m. We actually may change the time a little earlier because I know 9 p.m. is a little late. So we're working on stuff like that. But real quick shout out. STL Music dropped a whole nother beat and it's already taken off, going viral. It's called Fox and Wemby Master. And that is something that you got to go get on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever music is available. Fox and Wemby Master. It's search STL Music or Shamaya Ree or STLTB, and you can find it there. But yeah, it's another amazing release by STL Music and STLTB.
Got cooking, man.
We're trying. We're trying.
Doing a good job. And by the way, make sure to let Rudy know your thoughts on his thoughts on Castle and the Rookie of the Year chase and the whole CP3 benching Castle starting, all that good stuff over on X at Sweep the League. And we thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. If you're available wherever you get podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Campos Plus app, YouTube, news. What else we got? The newsletter. Right, the newsletter. Go click on that. It's in the description below on YouTube. It'll say LO Spurs newsletter. Click that link, sign up today, completely free, and hit your email inbox every single day. We'll be back tomorrow talking more Silver and Black as the season continues, the rodeo trip continues. A lot more games to go through, but it is winding down fast. We'll keep you going here at Locked On Spurs. So for Rudy Campos, I am Jeff Garcia, and we're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.